Great show today. I got a good guy here on the line with us, Robert Lee. Robert is the founder and video executive producer of Shalala Productions, which is a Boston based video production company specializing in remote video production, live streaming videos, and creating marketing videos for websites and marketing campaigns. Robert brings 20 plus years of experience in direct marketing for businesses, especially medical, manufacturing, education, food, and the entertainment industry. When he's not working on a shoot, you can find him giving talks about production, live streaming, video marketing. He's a firm believer in pre production, and the key things of your videos are knowing your audience, knowing your goals, knowing your purposes, and more importantly, knowing your message. I really like that. Currently, Robert's been donating his time and resources to help businesses and associations in their efforts to raise money for awareness for all of our medical people working on the front line. So that is phenomenal. Love what he's doing. Loving that he's giving back to the community. I'm looking forward to an awesome conversation with this guy. So, ladies and gentlemen, sit back and relax. And let's get it in. Mr. Robert Lee, how are you, sir?
Always good to see you, James. Although when I heard the intro, I'm like, who's he talking about? I'm like, oh
Who
wait,
is this guy that he's talking about? What in the world? The credentials are mighty nice. And that's I wanted to make sure I was getting them accurate as I was saying. That's pretty decent elevator pitch you got there, bro.
yeah. I mean, sometimes like I have to remember, like, oh, wait, what do they want to hear about? Is it video or basically? So it's just a matter of just getting that right mindset there. So like, oh,
Yeah. What do I do and what is it all about? That's
right,
good
who's
stuff.
this?
How you doing, man? You doing good?
Yeah, I know. Like I was joking off camera, like still a little bit sore from shoveling, but that's the snowstorm for you. So
That's the life of living in Boston and going through yet another nor'easter. I know that life. A few years ago, actually, I was in Boston
hmm.
for a training and stayed literally across the street from Gillette Stadium.
Okay,
So that was interesting for me because I'm a Steelers fan. So my whole
gotcha.
purpose in being there was to go and deface the Patriots' home. It did happen because it was that nor'easter a few years ago when Boston was shut down for a number of days. Obviously, you remember that. So I was there for that. I'm walking through. I damn near get run over by a snowblower, California kid in the East Coast. It didn't work out right for me. So needless to say, I didn't deface the Gillette Stadium. I almost lost my battle with a snow machine.
Well, that wasn't me driving the snowblower, so that's probably because I
I'm
couldn't
just
reach the pedals.
saying, it's not a good look, and I'm glad no one has it on video. But I do have a photo of me struggling trying to get back to the hotel and then get back to the bar. Um,
Gotcha.
so, first of all, thanks, man. Thank you for taking the time. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation because we've had some conversations
hmm.
online, especially on the Facebook group about like-minded folks who are doing video production, folks that are doing live streaming, folks that are quite honestly taking advantage of finding the silver lining in this COVID to where we're being able to sit down and focus on our screaming efforts
Right.
and wants and desires. So, and I know that you're, like I was telling Corey Sanders today, you're a subject matter expert really in this field. I really view you as a subject matter expert in this field. You've got some longevity, you've got a whole different perspective. And before we go into some of that, talk to us about who you are, right? I know I gave kind of a high level overview, but tell us what makes up What makes up Robert Lee? You weren't ready for that. See, I'm so darn good. I throw you for a loop right from the beginning.
I know. Well, depending who asks me the question, sometimes I'll say like, "Well, I'm a human being, a Homo sapien," and and then there's others like, "Well, here's a guy that loved to geek out about talking about like live streaming video production." And
Yeah.
then, or if you get me in another setting, this guy loves to nerd out on anything superhero comic book related. So I would say amalgam of everything. Just try to do the best I can to help people with what I know, as well as just enjoying what I do, and also be able to have great fellowship like with you and others of the stuff that we do, and try to get the material out there and helping others as well.
Yeah, yeah. Appreciate that. And that's a great way that I've seen really of who my impression of you, right? Definitely helping others, right? You've got the very active forum and discussion within the Facebook group, the live streaming friends. You've got your show that I think just wrapped up your season, right? Verbose Wednesdays. So you've got that medium as well, to where you're sending out a lot of information, bringing on different guests, things like that, talking about technology. So now that we've got you understood, talk to us a little bit about Shalala Productions, because I think that really blends well in terms of, again, you being that helper, you being that one that's providing information. So from a business perspective, what is it that you do kind of on a regular day-to-day basis to keep you out of trouble?
Well, the funny thing is, like, I always joke about how like I always forget the third law in Shalala. So right off the bat, that's something I joke about. But I think the important thing is just a matter of just keeping a nimble and open mind as to like how the best to help others out, because each project is different in terms of need. Sometimes it's more of a technician end, where they just need someone to be able to figure out like how do you create the video for them. Sometimes they may need someone as a peer and help them out, like what the strategy is as to like what they're going to do with the video. Sometimes a little bit of both. So it just really depends on who I'm working with to help set the tone as to how best I can help them. And then it's just a matter of just filling in the gaps and filling the need there. So but yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of just the keeping as odd as it sounds, a mobile, a nimble mind in terms of how best to help others. And there may be some projects where if I'm not the right fit, although it pains me, but just in looking out the best interest of the client or whoever reaches out to me, to let them know like who others that I would recommend that they would reach out to. So in some ways it's either just being either the answer man or I know a person. So
Yeah, that liaison to help you find the right resource. Now, so you're typically, I would say, the person in front or behind the camera, or kind of doing more of the production type of work, setting up the environments, the overlays, the scenes, or what is it that you kind of see yourself primarily focusing on?
it's
Was that a
it's
loaded question too?
well, no, it's just that I think it's. I know I sound like an economist or just like someone that's hedging. It just really depends on what the project calls for. Like sometimes
Yeah.
they need me to do both. Like they need someone to be behind the scenes as well as being in front of the camera. Other times they just need someone with the. I was gonna say Hannibal Lecter, but I don't know if that's the right name. Where someone has the plan and just be able to help execute it, whether it's find the right crew or the find personnel, or be able to lay out the plan for them to run with. So from day one, it just really depends on what the need are, and just what best role I can be to help others out. How's that as an answer?
That's a good answer. That's not Hannibal Lecter, but that is a better description of I think what it is I think that you do.
I'm known for butchering analogies or comparisons, so there you go.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have you on my team in a book of what is not charades or what is it?
Me Trivia Pursuit.
Yeah, I'd play against you on that one. Let's dive into this passion that we have, right? This whole
Mm-hmm.
video streaming, content creation, live streaming, this whole aspect. Because I really want to pick your brain a little bit of that, and
Okay.
understand your thoughts on best practices, right? Your in terms of setting up environments, because again, as I was reading the intro about you, one of the things that you pride yourself on is being prepared, being ready, having the environment ready. What is it? Is it the lights? Is it the audio? Is it the video? A little bit of all of that, the hardware, the software. If you were coming to me as probably a brand new prospect for Shalala, what would be those best practices that you would say impose on me in terms of getting the environment up and ready?
Well, I think the first thing is just really to focus on what the material is, like what the goals and purpose of the video. So right off, it's just a matter of just understanding what the message is. If it's going to be like a product demo, I mean, you want to make sure that the environment is one that gives a lot of space to be able to demonstrate whatever product that you're trying to feature. If it's more of like a talking head, then it's a matter of just making sure the material is appropriate as to the types of questions you have, as well as setting the mood or the atmosphere for such an environment. So the first step is just knowing like what the shoot is about, and then to be able to act accordingly in terms of what resources needed. So once you get through the first hurdle, then this yeah, I know that's the big hurdle. It's like, well,
That's
what
the
is
hard one, though, right? Again, because I mean, when you think about it, that's the hard part. What is it you're trying to do, right?
Right.
And it's hard to pull that probably out of a prospect or out of someone who's looking to employ you, right? They know they
Yeah.
got something that they want to do in their head, but what is it that you really want? How do I deploy and implement that?
Right, exactly. Because I mean, whoever you speak with, I mean, people know that when you invest in something, whether it's live streaming, video production, it is an investment. So you want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row in terms of like what it is that you want to do. So that way, there's no whether you don't want to like have them have like a buyer's remorse as to what they're investing in, because a video is an important tool to be able to market or present the message that you want, but it's just making sure that you know what you're going to say in front from the camera or what you're going to demonstrate. That really sets the tone, and then it's just a matter of like, okay, what's the best way to capture the image or what means. I mean, there's some video projects where it may be better for just a pure podcast or radio, or some maybe just or like the spoken word in writing form, like in a like direct marketing piece. So so it's a matter of just being able to know that first, so that you can then incorporate all the elements. Once you already identify like that live streaming or video is the way to go, then the next thing is like, okay, what is it that we're filming? So let's say, for example, like right now we're doing equivalent of a talking head. Then it's a matter of making sure that you have the appropriate gear to the live stream. A lot of people have start to talk about how audio is important, which is important, especially if you're gonna repurpose your material. So if you're gonna like treat a video shoot like this, where it's gonna be also on the podcast, you want to make sure that the audio is sounding right, because last thing you want to do is like, so Rob, what is it about video production you like? And you're like, no. So that that kills the project right there. So yeah, so definitely you want to make sure that you have the appropriate gear to be able to do it. So first thing is making sure the audio is where it needs to be able to create a video or a podcast. So that's also, you take a step further, making sure there's no background noise going on. So like before we went on air, right now, ideally, the room's not situated as ideally for such a thing. So I have like a computer like off to the side. So I had to make sure that it's not coming in too hot. So I don't recommend this for people to do, but just you want to be able to put something to muffle it. So I've got like a towel over there, which,
Okay.
if you see anything that catches on fire, you'll know what the cause is. So it's things like
Please
that.
don't do that live on video. I don't want to see the demise of Robert Lee. Well,
I mean, exactly. I mean, the last thing you want to do is like have hang on, a fire like that to come
planned.
up.
That was planned, wasn't it? You know, that was okay. I fell for the punchline. You're good.
Couldn't help it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so it's things like making sure where your environment is to where you're filming to make sure that like with your audio that you don't have any background noise, or even like the microphone placement. So you don't want to be too far back that you can't hear someone. So little things like that to make sure you're getting the best audio that you can of the film. So that's one thing. When you're doing live streaming, when you film, you definitely got to make sure that the internet strength is strong. Preferably, you want to be able to be hardwired into the wall. But there's a situation where you're not able to, where you got to make sure that the Wi-Fi is strong enough to be able to keep up with the video that you're transmitting. I think someone had mentioned that a good up and down speed is 25. Uh, 25 megabits per. I always get
That's
the
pretty good. Yeah, yeah, megabits per second. That's a pretty decent speed, and I will concur with you on
yeah.
that. I actually am hardwired, and I have noticed since I've done that, knock on wood, that it doesn't happen now. But ever since I've gone hardwired, that the quality of the stream, because I'm filming on my side in 1080, so there haven't been any drop frames. There haven't been any issues with the audio being
Right.
off kilter or anything. So that really is critical, and that is key. So yeah, that's a good point that you make.
Yeah. So exactly something like so that's an important thing to know. So and if we're doing lighting, I mean, the important thing is you want to make sure you have lights, especially like you definitely want a good key light that's right in front of you so that people can see your face. Ideally, if you have one that you can put a softbox on, they're good to be able to diffuse, so that way it doesn't come in too hard and hot. So you have like a spotlight on you, as if you were like a prisoner breaking out, where you have that light. And then, depending on where you are, sometimes you might need some lights off the side to get like an even fill. But yeah, I mean, when you tie it all together, what's important is once you've identified the assets to be able to do something like that, you definitely need to be able to set the time to be able to test it out, because it's one thing to have it, but if it's not looking good, like let's say for example you got everything set up but you're framed off and you're like,
Yeah. That's a killer right there, right? That's a
yeah.
killer. Yeah.
So you definitely want to get that ironed out before you go online, because otherwise it's going to look like you're interviewing Billy Bartley or Pete Dinklage or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of just putting all the elements together once you've done the homework as to getting the materials all lined up as to what you're going to present with the message, to the resource itself, the gear, and then practicing. Then it's just a matter of just going off with the races.
That's true, man. That's true. And I guess I'll add that, as intimidating as it may sound, right,
Hmm.
to probably the layman or someone who just wants to get started. 'Cause I've had a number of folks reach out to me in the last few months, say, I want to start a podcast. I want to do something.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that expensive, really, to get the infrastructure and the equipment, right? Lighting is depending on the scale that you want to go to. You can spend $5, you can spend $500, whatever, to get the lighting, but that can be adjusted. Audio is critical. I mean, if we talk to our friend Corey Sanders, XLR is the way to go. Obviously, I mean, there are varying levels of audio as well, USB versus an XLR, and that just makes sense as well. But audio first, I agree with you from that perspective, because again, you have the ability to bounce between a
Right.
video or an audio podcast. Then get that camera going. Look, there are Logitech or whatever. I don't want to say necessarily a name, but that, because I'm not sponsored by any of them. But video is critical as well. If you
Right.
can get a mirrorless or a DSLR to where you can get that fancy bokeh going in the background, cool and all that. That's just an extra nice to have. But get a nice clear shot, and then like you say, the lighting. But that's the easy part. But then I like what you said as well. You got to get yourself. You got to press the go live button. You got to practice. You got to actually go out there and figure out what you want to talk about, and then go out there and actually do it, and then do it consistently. Because
Right.
anyone can go out there and do a show for 3 months straight, kill it, right? Have some great content and great stuff going, but then get tired or get dejected because there's not enough viewers or not enough subscribers, there's not enough Patreon or whatever the case coming in. That may mean you're doing it for the wrong reason, but still, you've got to be consistent in delivering the message, because none of this stuff, nothing worth having is going to come immediately and come overnight. You got to keep doing it. If you got the passion for it, you just got to keep at it, keep going, keep learning, progressing, networking with folks, and finding new ways and learning all the time. I'm just a sponge, right? I'm soaking it up, so I'm writing down what you're saying. I'm glad I'm recording, because everything that you're talking about, I'm like, let me make sure I got my I may actually throw another light in right in front of me, just in case I need to get a little extra fill in here. But that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, to your point, yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of it is like, I mean, the way I look at it is that, yeah, I mean, it's just a matter that your first show is not going to be perfect. There's gonna be like some things to need to learn about. But yeah, I mean, it shouldn't prevent people to get in front of the camera and get their message out there.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it is that the to the couple what you say as to to get the repetition to build that confidence. I mean to take the extra step to prepare, get organized with your notes as to and structure the show the way you want it. I think that helps uh, shorten the learning curve and just really focus on like fine tune the message and everything like that. So it's interesting in that a lot of the materials I see out there, whether it's colleagues, competitors, peers, I mean they're pretty much echoing what you're saying. But the way I look at it is you take a step further is that yeah, I mean, no one's going to be perfect after that first video, but it's a matter of just being able to have a good game plan as to how to do better in the next one. And so
I like
I
that.
think
Yeah.
I think a lot of it, I think people forget that if you can create an environment where you can be able to practice and just iron out the kinks, that it's a lot better. I mean, if I were I got to be careful if I use a movie analogy. But I mean, in most movies, they don't do it like after the first take. There's a lot of multiple takes. They do a lot of practice, boxing, and everything like that. It's like that with people with their live streaming. If they're able to put the time, have the environment to be able to work out the kinks, it helps minimize. I guess you could say not so much the goose, but at least provides a good structure so that if something goes a little awry, through the practice, at least you'd be able to like have like a little muscle memory as to how to react, so that it doesn't catch you totally off guard where you kind of freeze or either that just don't know what to say. It's like, okay, that didn't go right. Let's go in the other direction, and then you're off to the races.
All right. Sounds like you're doing a pitch right now for your Facebook group. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm pulling it up right now.
Well,
You keep talking about it. I'm gonna pull it up. It's okay.
oh no, it's just that the group that James was talking about is a group called Live Streaming Friends, and it's just a matter of like initially it was set up for a lot of us had all got together from a workshop that we did with Live Streaming Pros, and there's a lot of members there uh, that took like a 30-day challenge where they live stream every day, and so for me. I always thought it's fascinating that it's one thing to get in front of the camera, but it's just be able to provide the environment to be able to have that opportunity to work out the kinks, so that even though we all know that it may not be perfect the first time, but at least you have a good game plan as to what you want to be able to do in your next stream. So the group that we created gives that opportunity to just be able to just not only the cut loose to work out on things, but also to bounce off ideas to get some practice in there and work out the text. So that way you're least likely to fumble where the triggers are if you're using like software like vmix and eCam. And also I think the important thing is just to be able to build that community, that a fellowship where everyone's just be able to like share experience, share wins, share or to get the help you need.
That's
How's
it.
that?
That's pretty good. And shouts out to Mario. We're giving him a little free plug right here. If I got him
Hey
on the
Mario.
screen as well. Oh, but that's good. But and that is relevant. I love that. I fired up a group as well called the Broadcast Studio, and trying to do kind of the same exact thing, right?
Right.
So I don't look at any of this stuff as competing. I just look at the fact that the more folks that engage and interact together, the better for the overall community. Because look, we all should be trying to learn. No, if I never want to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm in the wrong room if that's me, right? So I want to be able to soak up from all the 126 other people that are in the live streaming friends group, and just gain that knowledge, and understand how to get better. Because
Right.
you know yeah, there's revenue associated with it, and yeah, we're talking about folks either livelihoods or their side hustles, whatever the case may be. But
Right.
it's beyond that for some of us as well. I mean, there really is a good release, a good thought of being able to have a platform that, like for me, ties into my website, Infotainment News. Right, this is really that platform where I can say I own this. I can have whomever in the world I want on here. We can talk about whatever we want. We can have those awkward conversations about social issues, or
Right.
whatever the case may be. We can have fun and talk sports. We can have a great time and talk technology. But just being able to be my own NBC, BET, ABC, whatever the case may be, right, and deliver that message. I really think there's power in that, and
Yep.
opening it up to the masses is not difficult. And I hope more folks get into it as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So we talked lights, we talked audio, we talked video. We didn't talk software. Let's talk about platforms as well, because I see on the back your wall right there. I know you're a PC guy, and I won't fault you for that. But I'm a Mac guy. Um, I,
It's it's funny because I've been in I've had a foot in both worlds. The problems are always the same. It's just a matter like how what resources they be able to fix it. I mean, you'd be surprised. Oh, Mac's really advised. Oh, I said, I would get really strange looks when I tell them the types of problems I have with the Mac, and like, you did what? But yeah,
same but different. Same but different. Look, I gave Steve Jobs 8 years of my life. Used to work. I used to work for the company, so
Yeah.
I've been drinking the Kool-Aid for a long time. Had the pleasure of actually meeting that man. Rest his soul and bless his family. But so vMix, you use that.
Yep.
You've used XSplit as well. So two primarily pro platforms on the PC side. What else do you dabble in as well?
So I've used StreamYard. I did use OBS for a little bit, but then once I heard about vMix, after I encountered some of the tech issues that vMix had some solutions, went over there. Let's see what else.
Well, hold on. Let's talk OBS,
Yes.
man. OBS is free,
Yeah.
but I did not feel like the learning curve for the OBS. I did not feel like I didn't want to read everything. I didn't want to take the time. It seemed cool just in the features and the functionality, and the price is obviously right. But gosh, the learning curve of setting it all up, and that was just too much work for me. So I didn't go. I installed it, and then literally 30 minutes after I installed it, I hung my head and I deleted it.
Well, the thing is, like, I mean, OBS is great. I think the challenge is that because there's so many different plugins and because it's such an open source, it's a little bit hard to pinpoint like where you can go if you need that help. Whether it's the setup, the working out the layouts and overlays, it's a lot. So that there's no knock to OBS. I mean, I know there are a lot of people I know that swear by it. I think for me it was a little bit harder where when I was just starting out, just trying to figure things out the live stream, and because I had specific questions, I couldn't find the specific answers. It was a little bit harder. So in some ways, I had to be careful not to be discouraged that I couldn't find the information I need to get going. I see that. I know how you feel. So
Yeah.
So I mean, I think because of that, and since vMix was a lot more straightforward in terms of the resources there, the available, and the thing I liked that they had the customer support that I could write them, say, hey, here's the problem I have, blah blah blah. What do I do? Then I'll get an answer. Where OBS, it's a little bit free flowing as to like if you hit the right group forum, like you find the key members that you go to. But because the members of the OBS or the people that use it vary, you're not always going to get the same person. So it's a little bit hard where the variable is so difficult. So that was the other thing too. So and because with XSplit, even though they had the dedicated customer store, I was maxing it to the software capabilities that I knew I had to make the next jump up. It's just a matter of just making sure that the resources were there appropriate, so that if I needed the help or at least needed to be able to know like what options I have, that I had things to be able I can go to.
Yeah, that makes sense. So vMix, XSplit, StreamYard, Restream, great platform, decent platform. I mean, I like the fact. So I've bought into. So let me step back.
Sure.
I talked about being a Mac guy. So I bought into Ecamm as well.
Yep.
Ecamm being the primarily Mac platform that you actually download. So it's not a SaaS-based solution like StreamYard, which has its pros and cons, right? Because there's actually taxing issues on your system.
Right.
I know a lot of us run Ecamm probably off of our laptops, but
yeah,
this fan gets to go on every now and then from processing and everything that the application is doing. So I'm probably going to be looking to get one of those new M1 Mac Minis.
Okay.
After I pay for everyone else's Christmas gifts, I won't tell my wife that though. But Restream is also phenomenal because it allows you to go to multi locations. It allows you to bring in multiple guests. Both Restream and StreamYard allow you to have like up to 10 people on screen. That's a lot, but that's still being able to have that flexibility. So there's a and you get what you pay for. The numbers are it costs something. If you want something of quality, you got to pay for quality, right? I'm not a freemium type of a guy. I don't even like a lot of free apps on my phone, right? I'd
Mhm.
rather pay the developer for their work because
Right.
if they put in some good work, let me compensate you for the time and the effort and the engineering practice to do that. So they're comparable kind of in the same from a yearly
Right.
perspective and the different levels. But I think next year, and we've kind of talked about this, I'm probably going to bounce back and forth between the two platforms. The one thing that I really like about Restream is that they've got analytics. And man, I'm a sucker for numbers. Look,
Yeah.
I will look at a spreadsheet and I will do that and see, because I got a screen going over here right now. I see who's watching this on LinkedIn. We're doing pretty good on LinkedIn. I mean, I got a screen on Facebook and all of those things, and being able to aggregate all of that information and have
Right.
those analytics of what's the best time to stream, what's the best time, where are people coming from across the globe, and things like that. That's what's right now. That's the one thing that's missing for me from StreamYard, and the fact that I like that the Restream has. Now, are those types of things built into like an XSplit or a vMix?
So XSplit, I haven't used XSplit in a while, but I think they had. I don't think they if they had analytics, it's something I'm not aware of. But in terms of to be able to stream into different channels, it was pretty decent. I mean, you could. I don't think they had LinkedIn Live, but I mean, you could do it, or you could go into YouTube, Facebook, some other channel I'm blanking on, and I think it was just a matter of just making sure that it could keep up, like you say, that it didn't like overtax the system. So
Yeah,
it's just a matter like how much stuff you're outputting. Um, I'm trying to blank out like what the other.
was it maybe
I know.
Twitter on Periscope?
Yeah, I
which
haven't
is
Periscope in a
which
while.
is which is which is so we're streaming on that. Stream on that all the time. That was really because Periscope back in the day
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of Meerkat. Kind of reminds, I'm flashing back. Only the old school folks remember that, but
Yep.
they're shutting down,
Yeah.
and that's so depressing because decent following on
Yeah.
Twitter from when I used to do a lot of Twitter chats back in the
Uh-huh.
day. So the fact that that's closing, hopefully they come with some type of avenue for us to go live on Twitter as well, because
Right.
that's sorely going to be missing. But we'll see. But
Right.
the holy grail right now,
What's
which
that?
we both have,
Yes.
which you now are a part of, LinkedIn Live. Yes,
Yeah.
look, it's pretty cool, brother. Look, the fact that we can hit LinkedIn Live, that's a good thing. You got to put. So let's talk about that though. You got to have the right message. You can't put every
Yeah.
stream doesn't belong on LinkedIn, but
Yeah.
you really get a attentive audience when you hit that notification that goes out to everyone who's in your
Right. In
list,
your
right? That they know that you're live,
right.
and you get that engagement. So I really like that.
Yeah. I mean, I have to be careful because I don't want to sound like I'm ranting and raving. But I mean, it was so difficult just to get on there for the reason
It
that we
was hard.
know.
It was hard.
It drove me nuts because no knock on anyone specifically, but I mean the content out there it just kind of all blurs together, and my concern was that you know it's one thing to be able to live stream, but you got to make sure to be able to put something out there that people want to hear. And I was chomping on the bit. I'm like, no, I want to say that. And my only means of communication is just to be able to like respond either to a live video or to like someone had posting, and you know, I feel like I've like start to max out on the amount of characters you can put in the comment there. So like, oh man, I got to get into LinkedIn. So once I had to be careful because like once I got accepted, I had to make sure like, wait, me? I was doing the double thing, and it was one of those things where like you have a good thing and you don't want to lose it. So I had to resist the urge. Although I know I went on a couple of times where it was part testing, but also trying to like share a message there so that way people don't like, what's he doing?
I will say this though.
Yeah,
I was cracking up. I love the fact every time you got on those couple of times, just checking, make sure. do I really have this? Is it really live on LinkedIn? I thought
Yeah,
that was the cutest thing, man. That was cool. That was cool.
yeah,
But again,
and
you reach a whole different audience,
you
and
do, you do. Yeah, I mean, it's a totally a different audience than with Facebook,
yeah,
YouTube. I know, like I had a either on or off discussion with the co-host up at Haas there, and we were just like talking about how like it's a different atmosphere. Like Facebook has that vibe where you kind of catch the not like like an ongoing driver passing by like a highway or something, but just like the casual viewer. And YouTube, you do have like a good following, and and LinkedIn Live has a little bit of both, where it's still getting used to the idea of the community structure that you have in like in a Facebook group, but there's a good support like you would see like in the
yeah,
YouTube stream there. So it's an interesting blend of the two, but I think because there's so many people migrating from the YouTube platform into LinkedIn Live, and they're pumping out a lot of content there. I mean, in some ways, I think they're starting to get it. In other ways, they're still trying to learn as to how they could use live streaming to their advantage. So I wouldn't be surprised the next year. Not only you're going to see a lot more live streaming LinkedIn Live, but
yeah,
I think there's going to be still going to be a learning curve as to like the type of content that's out there, as to what they're presenting, and the not so much the value you get there, because there's always going to be people trying to preach the value, but I think just in terms of the different types of dynamics of the conversation. I mean, because like you and I, we had a chance to get to know each other, that we get a good sense of like what we know and what we like to vibe off on. But I think there's going to be like that awkward phase of folks getting on there because like, oh, this is LinkedIn Live, and they may not have that connection with either the audience or the people that bring in there. So there's going to be some early adoption as the users that are there. But I mean, it'll be interesting just to see how people can quickly elevate in their live streaming game, so to speak.
yeah. I mean, look, I don't agree with them adding the like the Snapchat type, the stories. I don't see it just personally. I don't see stories being a good place, LinkedIn being a good place for something like a stories. But I guess there could be use cases. You're out at a conference or something when we finally get to go back to a conference or something like that, and you just want something quick
Yeah.
that is there for 24 hours and disappears. That kind of makes
Right.
sense, but that kind of changes the social network of LinkedIn from business and professional focus to be more of a Facebook and more of a Snapchat, TikTok, or whatever the case may be. Look, I got into Clubhouse yesterday. I don't know if you've
Mm-hmm.
heard of that. That's the new, I think, audio focused social network that's coming up. I forgot who's if it's part of the Twitter
Right.
team or whatever. It's just very noisy right now, right? So again, very early in terms of it's still in beta, so not everyone has it, but it's I think it's still trying to find its legs and those types of things. What will stay around are the ones that have the value, as you're saying, and where
Yeah.
folks are actually putting out
Right.
relevant messages. So as long as
Yeah.
we raise the game and elevate the conversation, because there's so many folks doing it,
Right.
continue to elevate the conversation. I think
Right.
that'll help us stick out from the masses and have some attrition in terms of folks that will continue to spread the message and be part of the community. So that's a
Right.
good thing.
I mean, to me, it's a matter of just trying to figure out like every new feature, whether it's LinkedIn or even now Twitter has their
Fleeks.
fleeks. I'm
I,
like,
I haven't sent one fleek out yet. Right? What, really? I don't know. I'm sorry.
I might have done one just to test it out, so it's more
Yeah.
like
I sound like Scrooge. I know.
no. I mean, to me, it's just a matter. Does it make sense? Like, I mean, sometimes I wonder if they're just doing it just to catch up because Facebook has it, Instagram has
Yeah.
it, we better have it. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
well, how's it work? How's it going to help others that are using it? Already, I've seen other people like in LinkedIn. They're like, kind of either if not sharing the same views you have, it's almost like, oh great, there's another thing we got to learn. I'm looking, I'm like, why do they have it? I mean, you're doing the same things within the feeds in LinkedIn. I mean, I could see how it helps with Instagram just because it was all pure pictures and they just want to be
Yeah.
able to have something like really quick to try to almost kind of like adopt what Snapchat was. But so I could see why they would do that. But I mean, with the business platform LinkedIn, I'm like, are they trying to be? How do I put this? Try to be cool, or they really see it as an asset, as to help be able to diversify how they want to present the message. If it's just something they want, something quick, they don't want on
Yeah.
for a long time. Okay, that makes sense. But it's so for me, it's just a matter of just trying to figure out like what the purpose and the goal is.
Yeah,
Kind of like
that's true.
what we were saying earlier to with the purpose when you're creating the video there. So,
Well,
which
let's not talk too much trash about LinkedIn because we're streaming right now live on LinkedIn, and if
which in which case
if
like it
somebody
just be like
from
last
the
performance,
team,
hey.
yeah, if somebody from the team is watching, and you and I both get an email tomorrow saying your accounts have been halted, I don't
Oh
want
no,
that.
you're fine. To me, I think I'll probably give them the necessary reason. Like, oh, we got to pull the plug on this guy, because like,
Right.
I yeah, I lost count the number of times I've sent messages to them asking follow up questions and just different questions on even like the whole social media philosophy as to the purpose leading life. So don't worry, that you're safe. It's more like, oh, it's that guy again.
Uh, I'll use your name. I won't use mine. I'll use your name.
You just
Uh,
you have the thumbnambel. You just throw it over your face like,
that's
oh, it's
exactly
that
what I'll
guy.
do. That's,
Yeah, see, there you go.
I'll put your picture as my new profile. But it's,
It's like his
my name
name's
is Robert
James.
Lee.
I thought his name's Robert.
Yeah, call me Robert Lee now. Let me ask you about this year
Okay,
and kind of in closing, kind of a wrap up.
sure.
Let me ask. 2020 has been crazy, right?
Yeah.
Just from A to Z in terms of personal, in terms of professional. So challenges from a business side of this year for you, Shalala, in terms of have you seen a decline in terms of business or opportunity? And then kind of what's your outlook for 2021 because we're at the cusp of a turn, right? People are getting the shots in their arm, regardless of how you feel about that, but that's a good thing because we're going to get around this hump and we'll get back to some normalcy. And 2021 could be a huge boom for especially small business, I think. So
Yeah.
and so what's that look like for you? Challenges of this year versus kind of an outlook that you have for 2021.
I think it's a matter of just trying to continue the momentum from 2020 to 2021 because I mean, I was frank with a lot of people. I lost a lot of work because of the pandemic, and so, but at the same time, like the end of 2019, I was transitioning into the live streaming world for the fact that I thought it was more of a viable solution for folks that may not have the resources to invest in like a marketing video or video production. That if they want to be able to find ways to get in front of the camera, this would be the forum. But it was a matter of just making sure did I have the right resources to be able to offer this service. Do I have the right personnel or do I have the right knowledge for it? So a lot of it was just a matter of just building up the assets, strengthening, building up the knowledge so that so when came like March or April when the pandemic hit, I was in at least I knew I was in the right concentration to be able to be effective to help out, as well as just trying to make sure that is it going to be a continuing need? I mean, I was fascinated with the format just because most of the content there is more on an if you probably say an informational basis, just in terms of providing the content that people need, and just a matter of just knowing like who your market is to either niche down or just know who your audience is to be able to help get that message out there. So I think now it's a matter of just I think the challenge in 2021 would be now that the vaccine's out, it's going to be a little bit difficult to know like how comfortable people are to be able to get out in the real world. I do see that the live streaming is going to be here for the duration, but it's a matter of like knowing like is the audience going to be there to be able to watch it? Because I get the sense that when people know that it's safe to go out there, I would imagine that the day in day activity is going to be different, but it may not be that much of a greater audience that are going to be consuming it online as it was this past year. So
Mm-hmm.
I would think that it's just a matter of like, okay, the challenge is which is the same as everything is just to be able to hold the audience retention. So I think that's going to be more of an emphasis is like, okay, you have the means to be able to broadcast. What do I do to be able to be relevant to maintain the audience attention and stuff? And so I think then it's just a matter of just I think you're going to see a lot more people emphasizing to make sure that it's one thing to have this set up to be able to present, to be able to stream. It's another thing to be able to have a message out there, but is it resonate? And so I would see that it's going to be a lot more uptick in terms of the infrastructure as to how to support the retention of the iron. So people that are who are well, I was gonna say well spoken, but like those that have really strong with the power of the pen to be able to know what to say, to just knowing like where to distribute the material that's getting into the people's end. I would think it's just more of I think now next year is going to be more of a challenge of just like how do I reach that audience, and how do I get that the message out there that it'll keep them glued. Does that answer your question?
No, that's a good point. I
Yeah.
guess, and I get from that is have multiple streams, right? Yeah, you're going to get a live audience, but that replay as well, right? So
Yeah.
make sure that you have if you're going to go into this type of a business, occupation, hobby, whatever the case may be, make sure you have it stored on a YouTube, on a LinkedIn, on your own personal blog and website, on those different mediums, so folks can come back at a later time if they're not if 4 o'clock in the afternoon is not the right time for them to watch it live. They can come back and watch it at their leisure if they've got your link. And then being consistent. Again, I guess I'll keep going back to that. As long as you've got something relevant to say, being consistent and staying on top of that, you will continue to get business, get retention, get viewers and listeners and things of that nature. And I think they'll share
Yeah.
your message. But don't be discouraged or disappointed by numbers, so to speak, but just stay true to yourself. So I think
Yeah.
I think that's important.
I mean, the one last thing I would add to that is just that once you decide what you're going to say or how you want to present it, is to make sure you have the appropriate resources. So if it's ambitious where you're going to like stream to different channels, you want to make sure that you have like another person to be able to monitor the chats in like LinkedIn Live or YouTube.
Yes.
So that way you don't miss a response, because the feedback there from one platform could make the difference as to not only for your business but in terms of like the content you present. So that
Good point.
so it's just a matter of making sure that you have the right tools in place to the scale accordingly, or just make sure that if you're going to start strong and you're going to do something that ambitious, to make sure you have the right folks to the partner, ally, or just folks that believe in what you do to be able to help you out, because it can be overwhelming if you just do it all on one person. Believe me, I know that. So it's just a matter of just making sure that, okay, either temper it by just building up gradually, or just making sure you have a team in place to work with you. So yeah, I think
That's
that
another kind of plug to what you and I are kind of working on behind the scenes. 2021 is going to be a great year. I'm liking what you're putting out there, man. I'm setting them up. I'm okay. I'm like the Jordan, you're the Pippen there on that one there. I like that. Again, I just probably dated myself with some, but everyone who knows who that dynamic duo is. Uh, let me ask you one question. I'd be remiss
sure.
if I didn't do it. So, being a technologist at heart, as I am by heart and trade, I have to ask, what's your go-to piece of technology? Um, Hardware, software? No, what is there, or is there anything particular that's your go-to piece of technology that's used on a regular daily basis? Three for a loop there, right? There you go.
Well, during the cold weather, odd as this may sound,
What you gonna bring out a comfy blanket or something, or with that? What you got there? Is that
chapstick.
chapstick? He's got his chapstick. I love
I don't know. It's just the weirdest thing. Like everywhere I go, I'm like, I mean, let's try. Like, damn it, where the hell? I mean, I must. At one point, I probably have one in each room. It's just the weirdest things. Like, you know, I know.
I'm
Like,
laughing with you, not at you, because I'm the exact same way.
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I carry my phone with me, but you can't use an iPhone to go.
There's no app for that.
No, well, I mean, there's an idea up there for an app for chapstick.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I mean, it's either that or I carry like a Swiss Army knife, just never knowing when I need it for anything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I know it sounds kind of boring answer, but it's just a strange thing.
No,
It's that.
no. It's an open-ended question that I ask a lot of folks, and I love to get the different perspective, right? Because a lot of times someone will just say, "Oh, it's my phone." Of course, I always have that with me. No, I want to. What do you? I've never had chapstick before. That's good. I do like that.
But yeah, I mean, I bet you once we go offline, I'm like, oh damn, I should have said that as an answer. But that's the first thing that came to mind.
Nothing better than that. No, see that's why live is good as well, right? Not now you're
Exactly.
not recording this because you can't take that back to folks watching and listening. So,
Right.
Robert, man, I appreciate you, brother.
Oh, hey, my pleasure. It's always fun to
this has
talk.
been fantastic. Just sitting here and rapping with you. You're a good dude. I think you're doing some great stuff. Love the fact that you are a helper, a giver, your time, of your knowledge. That really matters. Those are the things that matter, and those help others get stronger, and those help you to grow stronger as well in terms of mentally, spiritually, and physically. So I think you and I also have some things going on next year. So hopefully, well, I've got some action items on my table that you've sent me that I need to get around and get done. So I know what I need to do. But
No, I hear you. Right back at you. I mean,
we're,
it's always good to be able to compare notes and be able to help each other. So no,
yeah.
the pleasure's all mine too. So
Brother, be good to yourself. Try to stay warm. Thank you again for taking the time to have this conversation. I will talk to you very soon.
no problem. That means I can turn on the heater because I was afraid if I turn on, you hear this. Woo!
Yeah,
So
go get comfortable. Get your blanket, your comfy blanket, and turn on the heater. And I will talk to you later, brother.
I will do that. So thanks, James. It's always a pleasure.